Okay, we're going to be going in a second. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was you were telling me that you had discussed with your CASA and your caseworker about you want to agree to Ben staying with your sister, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the best for him.
Okay, it may be the best for him, but here's my problem. Strategically, if we go into court and I'm trying to convince a jury that they need to leave the baby with you, I'm going to have to address at some point the fact that you're asking that Ben go somewhere else. I think we have a better chance of keeping the baby with you if we are also fighting for Ben to come home to you.
I know before it was, I thought I could handle him, but I think that he's really good there.
Okay, and I know you've thought about that. I just need to kind of set your expectations that it makes my case harder to try to convince a jury to leave the baby with you.
What do I need to say? I mean, what do we need to do?
Well, you're my client and you're telling me that's where you want him. I just wanted you to know what the ramifications were, okay?
What? Do you agree?
Well, actually, Kathy, I'm concerned about how Ben's going to feel. And I know that he's doing well with Carol. I don't want him to feel like you're not fighting for him.
Well, it also narrows the issues once we go in there to court.
So if we went in there and said that we want Ben and Rose, then I might get both?
There's always a possibility. But my argument for getting Rose to you is stronger if you ask for Ben, even though you want him with your sister. That's all. I just wanted to. You're the client. You need to know that.
Good morning. At this time, the court will call cause number 67432 in the interest of the Harris and Price children here in the 499th Judicial District Court of San Gabriel County, Texas. These proceedings are being reported this morning. As you know, we have seated our jury, and before we go any further, let me give you a special acknowledgement and thanks. We know that in a free society, one of the most important roles that you can perform is being a juror in a case such as this. So we very much appreciate the time you're taking to be with us today. Again, we will say that we do have with us our prosecuting attorney, our county attorney, Mr. Britton, with his caseworker, Ms. Greenberg, and her supervisor, Ms. Dossett. Ms. Duke is the attorney who represents the children in this case, and she is present with us here today. Our CASA supervisor, Ms. Ott, is present with us, as well as our CASA volunteer, Ms. Jackson. The mother, Ms. Price, is present with her attorney, Ms. Langsley, and we have Ms. Sparks, who represents Mr. Harris, present with us as well. I believe we're ready to proceed with evidence at this particular time. Mr. Britton, do you have a witness to call?
Yes, Your Honor. We'll call Ms. Greenberg to the stand.
Ms. Greenberg, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you give before this court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please take your seat. State your name for the jury at this time.
My name is Teresa Greenberg.
Are you prepared to proceed with questions, Mr. Britton?
Yes, I am.
You may do so at this time.
Good morning, Ms. Greenberg. How are you?
I am doing just fine, thank you.
How are you currently employed?
I currently work for the Department of Family and Protective Services.
Have you been involved in a case with the mother, Kathy Price, and her 3 children?
Yes, I have.
If you could very briefly describe for the jury how the department became involved in this case.
Well, the department received a referral for neglectful supervision on Kathy Price. The conclusion from the investigation indicated that Ms. Price had left her 3 children home alone. The oldest was Ben, at age 14, to go to the store and buy a can of formula for her baby, at that time, 9 months old baby Rose. Along the trip, she had stopped off at a liquor store and purchased a bottle of vodka. And because she had purchased that bottle of vodka, she no longer could afford the baby formula. Because she still needed it for baby Rose, she attempted to shoplift it, was caught, and was incarcerated at that time.
Okay. So apparently someone reported this to CPS and you began an investigation?
That is correct.
And that investigation led to the removal of the children from her home?
Yes, it did.
And have you been involved with her since then?
Yes, I have.
Ms. Greenberg, do you have a recommendation to the court as to the disposition of Ben's case?
We are recommending today that PMC be awarded to his aunt, Carol Hill, for Ben.
And do you believe that's in Ben's best interest?
I do believe so, yes.
And does the department have a recommendation as to the child, Rose?
At this time, we are requesting that the parental rights of Rose be terminated.
And that is to the mother, Kathy Price, as well as the unknown father?
That is correct, yes.
And do you believe that is in Rose's best interest?
Yes, I do believe so.
We'll pass the witness.
Ms. Linksley, do you have questions for your client at this time?
Yes, Judge, may I begin?
You may.
Thank you. Ms. Price, Mr. Britton asked you a lot of questions about what brought us to this point. I'm going to ask you some questions about the progress that you've made since CPS came into your life. Now, you've been to rehab, correct?
Yes.
And how long have you been sober?
I have been sober for 65 days.
Thank you. What other steps are you taking in your recovery?
I am going to meetings every day.
Mm-hmm.
I am sober, and I have a nice home for my baby. It's safe.
Describe the home for us. How many bedrooms do you have?
There's 2 bedrooms.
And who do you live with?
I live with my boyfriend, who is also clean.
Okay. You said you go to meetings every day. Do you have a sponsor?
I do.
Okay.
I have a sponsor. I'm taking all the steps. I'm really, really working hard, making really good progress.
Let's say the jury made a decision that your baby could come home to you today. How would you take care of her? How would you provide for her financially?
Well, I have a job. I don't know if I mentioned that. And I'm a really, really hard worker. I've been working since I was 14. And now that I'm clean, I feel really confident that I can move up and advance in my job. And my boyfriend, he's a really nice guy, and he wants to take care of baby Rose. And I just think that it would be a really, it would just be a really supportive family for my baby.
You said supportive. What other support network do you have to help take care of your baby?
Well, I have myself and my boyfriend, and I have, family and friends.
Do you guys go to church?
No, we do not.
Okay. Do you...
But that's a good idea.
As part of this case, Ms. Greenberg, your caseworker asked you to do services. Tell me how you did on those services.
I am doing the therapy and the classes and all the services that they told me to, and I'm working with my CASA worker. She's really nice, and getting to visit my baby.
And tell us how those visits have gone. Your relationship with your baby, what's that like? How does she react to you?
I love my baby very much, and I'm her mama, so she belongs with me. She belongs at home.
I have no further questions, Judge.
Ms. Jackson, please raise your right hand to be sworn at this time. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you give before this court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please take a seat. Will you please state your name for the court?
Norma Jackson.
Ms. Jackson, are you the CASA volunteer for the Harris Price children?
Yes, I am.
And can you please tell the jury who is Rose's father?
Rose's father is unknown.
What does that mean?
That means that Rose's mother does not know who the father is.
Has the department, to your knowledge, done everything they can do to locate the unknown father?
Yes, I believe they have.
Has any man made an appearance claiming to be Rose's father?
No, they have not.
Are you asking the court to terminate Rose's unknown father's rights?
Yes, I do think that would be in Rose's best interest.
Now I want to talk about Ms. Price. What is your opinion about baby Rose's best interest?
Baby Rose has been in her present foster home for more than half of her life, and Baby Rose has some issues. She has a severe failure to be on, she's not on target developmentally, and she requires constant care. She's a fussy baby. She has been diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome.
What is fetal alcohol syndrome?
It means that the mother drank alcohol when the baby was in the womb.
Has she been in the same foster home during this entire case?
Yes, fortunately, yes.
And what are their hopes for baby Rose?
The foster parents want to adopt Baby Rose, and they're very bonded with her. They do everything for her. She's in occupational therapy. Maybe down the road, as she ages, she will need other additional therapies, and they're very willing to provide these services for her.
How does baby Rose respond to them?
She's bonded with them. They're her parents.
What do you believe is in baby Rose's best interest?
I believe that it would be in Baby Rose's best interest to terminate parental rights so that she can remain in the home where she is living now.
Thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Rivas, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you give before this court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please have a seat. Please state your name for the court.
Lisa Rivas.
Ms. Linksley, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Rivas, what's your job? What's your profession?
I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor, and I was Kathy's counselor at the inpatient treatment center where she was receiving treatment for substance abuse.
Okay, and when you say Kathy, you're referring to my client here who is sitting with me, Ms. Price.
Yes.
Thank you. What were the issues that Ms. Price was addressing when she was in treatment with you?
She was addressing chemical dependency issues, but her issues are more complex than just substance abuse. With many of the clients that we see coming in, there are a multitude of issues that need to be addressed, and in her case, there was many issues of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and which can complicate issues for someone trying to attain recovery.
Okay, but it's not impossible for people with PTSD history and chemical dependency to achieve sobriety, is it?
No, it's not impossible. Post-traumatic stress disorder does complicate issues. The rate of relapse for women who have a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder is higher. So it does complicate matters for someone trying to attain recovery, but it's not impossible.
If someone is very dedicated to their recovery and has put together adjunct services like sponsor, working their program, working their steps, maintaining relationships with people who are sober, does that increase their chances for sobriety?
It does, but oftentimes the timeline for recovery doesn't exactly match the timeline for a CPS case and where permanency is trying to be achieved.
Right, but it's always, I understand we have that limitation, but it's always possible for a parent to get it together, for example.
Yes, it is with time.
And isn't it true that sometimes the possibility of reunification with a mom's baby is, it helps her make good choices instead of bad choices?
The motivation to enter treatment and to maintain sobriety is impacted by that motivation to achieve reunification with their child, yes.
So would it be safe to say that it's a good possibility that would help her maintain sobriety and be a better parent?
Yes, parenting issues do often arise with a person who's new to recovery. Parenting issues can increase motivation, but can also increase the stressors that can contribute to relapse.
Let's talk about relapse very, very briefly. I've often heard the phrase relapse is part of recovery. Can you explain that a little?
Relapse is a part of the recovery process. As with other diseases, the most appropriate action to take when a relapse presents itself is to provide more support and treatment to both the parent and the child.
Okay, but just because someone relapses doesn't mean that they will not be successful in the future.
That's right.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, counsel. As we know, this case is styled in the interest of the 3 children. Of course, previously, we have already closed the case with regards to the child Robert Price by granting permanent custody of that child to his father. Also, we've accepted the relinquishment of the father with regards to the child Ben and have previously named the aunt, Carol Hill, as the permanent managing conservator of that child, and of course also ordered the mother to pay child support as we've previously announced. So the only issue to be submitted to the jury will be the issue of custody with regards to the child, the baby Rose Price. So we will in a moment recess to prepare the charge. Anything else then before we do that? All right, then we'll be in recess at this time. Ms. Richard, do you have the verdict?
Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Ms. Price, by recommendation of the jury, the recommendation is for termination of parental rights as to your rights and those of the unknown father. The court at this time is going to accept that recommendation and the verdict of the jury and approve and enter that order at this particular time. The court will name the department as the permanent managing conservator of the child Rose Price and approve for current placement. Of course, we're going to want to promptly move towards adoption in this particular case. This time the court is going to continue the advocates, including the CASA advocate in this particular case. We will set a hearing for a placement review hearing promptly. Unless there's anything else, counsel, we will go ahead and recess at this time. Thank you.